Hey guys, Omni here. I know I'm a little bit late to the show on this one, especially since E3 was last month. But this is something I wanted to talk about a lot, especially since it takes place in my home state of West Virginia. Uh, Fortunately, the surprise out of knowing that kind of takes a little bit of the bite out of this trailer because I did not know that when this was announced. It was kind of hinted at with the whole country roads kind of being in play with the teaser trailer that they showed before the full trailer at E3. But we're going to go ahead and check it out. And I've tried to avoid watching this trailer up until this point. Just I know some of the things that have been in it because unfortunately, living on the internet, you can't really avoid much of that. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a start and we will see what we find out. Now, I'm going to preface this with I haven't really played a lot of the Fallout games. Like I've played a very minute amount of Fallout 3 and even less of Fallout New Vegas. I have put a couple hours into Fallout 4 because I was like, I'll give this another attempt on a more current generation game and see how far I get. Unfortunately, games like that, those long, dedicated, story-driven games like that sometimes makes it hard to hold my interest for long periods of time because ADD kind of sucks. But yeah, this one's apparently going to be different, a whole new ball game, and definitely I have that incentive of it taking place in my home state, and I'm very curious about how it's going to get represented. So I haven't watched this trailer yet, so we will go ahead and check it out. You got some power armor. Is that the initial nukes coming down? Yep. I did read that this is one of the first vaults that opened and supposedly one of the few, if not the only one, that didn't have any nefarious experimentations going on with the inhabitants. And there's that country roads.
300 years after our great nation began, we gathered together to honor the completion of Vault 76. This sprawling underground shelter may have been
Let's turn that down a little bit.
Vault 10, but it was built by you.
Reclamation Day.
So that if the
Oh,
bombs do come, our
nice.
life will endure.
It's very green for being. It's a New River Gorge Bridge. I've been there a couple of times. Bridge Day. Wait a minute. Is that John Amos power plant? That's just like. That was like right across the river from where I used to live. I'm not sure, but that might be Hawks Nest, which is a which is a state park. Um,
But when the fighting is stopped,
Hmm.
and the fallout has shut
That's the state capital.
you must rebuild.
Not
Not just walls, not just
sure
buildings,
what either of those are.
minds.
That's a
Ultimately,
WVU,
America itself.
and that is what I expected to see in this. That is the Greenbrier Estate Resort,
In Vault 76,
which is actually a known presidential bunker that was built in case of a nuclear attack to shelter the president and other officials. So yeah, I mean, from what we see, it's just a little bit of walking around. I did read that it's supposed to be like an online survival kind of game where you kind of build a community, collect resources and stuff like that, kind of like Rust, Ark, and stuff like that. So I haven't played a whole lot of those. I did a little bit. I know a lot of people that do play them. And I know the big concern is online trolls and how that can affect your community if somebody's just running around nuking everything you're building. So I'm hoping that there's something in place that staves that off. What I did read too was that this will still be story-driven RPG, just with a different type of gameplay surrounding it. But the big kicker for me personally on this is just seeing a lot of those places that I recognize, because just right off the bat, I know that I saw the New River Gorge Bridge, which I'm not sure the exact measurements or anything like that, because I know it covers the New River Gorge, which is one of the youngest rivers in the country as far as its how long that river has been flowing. And that is a gigantic bridge, which there's every year there's a bridge day where they have bungee jumping off of it. Never done that because I'm not about that. I am not a risk taker, so that is not something I have participated in one bit. I think I saw Hawks Nest, which is a state park here. I believe that power plant was John Amos, which is one of the major power plants here that actually, it doesn't really, from what I remember, it doesn't really provide power here, but it does provide a lot of power for the majority of the East Coast. So some other things, I saw WVU in there. They showed like the front little campus area, except, you know, instead of your typical Greek statue, you had like a toga wearing Volt Boy as the statue there, which is kind of funny. I did see a bunch of posts here that Camden Park, which is a little rinky-dink roller coaster park, if you want to call it that, it has like two, is going to be featured. And they actually just had a Fallout Day celebration kind of thing for being acknowledged in this. They had a little event for that, kind of celebrating their promotion in it, I guess. Got to see the state capitol, which is a stone's throw from where I used to live. Like, all these places, I've been to them quite a few times, and they weren't that hard to get to. But the Greenbrier is kind of far away, so is WVU. So I'm wondering, like, how, in relation to some of the other places they shown, I'm wondering how this map will play out. Like, how you get around, if there's like different zones, or if it'll be like they'll just be relatively scrunched in, kind of like a collage of these locations in a broader area, because geologically they're not going to fit in that much of a distance into the game and make you trek it. So, like, I don't know if each one will have its own different zones, or if it'll be just one large map that'll just kind of, like I said, contain all of these separated areas, but just scrunching them into this like bubble that the game will take place in. Very curious about how that's going to play out. I know they're going to be incorporating a lot of regional folklore in it. The big one that I'm hoping to see is Mothman, which, if anybody knows about that, there's a couple movies about it. It's basically this creature that is this large creature with red eyes and these big old wings that brings bad luck and tragedy when it's seen or appears The biggest node was in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where it was sighted, and not soon after there was a bridge that had collapsed, killing lots of people and stuff like that. It was this big old local tragedy years and years back. But they're supposed to be like paying homage to all of those local folklore stories and creatures and myths that originated in the area. And I'm hoping it's going to be one of the few things that doesn't show the area in a negative light, because I know you've got stuff like Wrong Turn, a bunch of other things that's just like we're all backwoods hillbillies up in that area and stuff like that. So I hope it doesn't play up that stereotype too much. And I mean, it's Fallout, so there's going to be mutants, and I'm not putting it past them to throw some mountain dwelling mutant hillbilly families in there. But as long as your protagonist and the main characters and all that stuff are a good, valid representation of the area. The funny thing is, aside from the collapsed buildings, everything else doesn't look that different from how the roads are currently in some areas. And I don't know if it's just me, but doesn't the area look very green and thriving for being in the early days after the fallout from those nukes? Things seem to have grew back pretty quick there, and I don't know if they're going to explain it like the mountains just kind of shielded that area, like the valleys and all that, so like it wasn't affected as much as some of the other areas across the country. But that's like something that just kind of stands out in my mind, is like it still looks a little green. It just looks like it's fall. That's like what it looks like here when it's fall. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to give it a try and give it my full wholehearted attention. And yeah, so I'm excited for it. Like I said, I haven't committed to a Fallout game. But this one, just out of I feel obligated to devote a little bit of time and effort to this, and definitely at least give it a fair try, and see how it lives up to the previous games and the hype, and how it represents the locals. But anyway, thank you all for watching and hanging out, and sorry that this was a little late. I got a couple. I'm so behind, but with this Comic-Con stuff going on, I've been trying to like pump through these things, so I figured I might as well, while I'm at it, go back and do these trailers that I missed from E3 that I still wanted to do. This was the big one that I really wanted to talk about. There's a couple. I already did my Kingdom Hearts one, because that's my go-to series right there, is Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. But this one, just purely because of that local factor from, my heritage and all of that. I definitely wanted to give this some time. There's two others I wanted to talk about from E3. The rest of the stuff shown off there, I don't have too much to say about anything else, because nothing really stood out to me too much personally. Aside from Kingdom Hearts, I do want to talk about the Halo Infinite trailer that they showed, and Devil May Cry 5. I definitely want to talk about. But like I said, thank you guys for stopping by. There will be more of these to come, and I'll see you all later.